Adventure and trash. What a month it will be. Hi, I'm Ann. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my TBR for August of 2022. So this month I'm keeping it pretty basic in what I'm going to read. I don't have any buddy reads to do, and I also decided not to do any book club reads, besides for one. I'm only doing one buddy read and one book club read. So the two readathons I'm participating in is August of Adventure and Garbaugust. We'll see if I'm able to do both of them. I'm going to start with all the ones that aren't part of a readathon. So I'm doing a buddy read with my husband for the sequel to The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. We are reading The Hunger of the Gods. We already started it. We were supposed to read it last month, but we didn't get a chance to read it until like the very end of the month. So we're going to continue that over into the next month. And then for the Black Hearts Book Club hosted by Very Literary Carrie, this month we are reading Bunny by Mona Awad, and I have never heard of it. The cover looks intriguing. The plot sounds intriguing. It's about a girl who goes to college and gets introduced to this clique of three elite girls called who call each other Bunny. So I don't know. We'll see. It sounds like it could be really good or could be really bad. But those are the only ones I'm planning to read outside of the readathons because I wanted to keep my schedule relatively open. So I only have 10 books total on my TBR that I'm planning to read. So for Garbaugust, I only have 4 books planned, but I can add more books. And I did try to stick with all the weekly prompts. So the first week is Sex and Violence. The second one is Vintage, written before 1980. The third one is Anything Goes, and the fourth one is Made You Question Everything. I do not read like dirty books or anything like that, so I have to like keep it semi-tame for being trash, but there's a lot of books that are trashy that aren't necessarily like over the top like sex, gore, and violence. So for the Sex and Violence, I'm actually picking a book that I've wanted to read for a long time, and it's Perfume by Patrick Suskind. This is a book that they made into a movie. I've seen the movie, and it's a terrifying but fascinating movie, but it's about this young man who gets obsessed with the scent of different women or a specific woman in general, and he tries to create like this perfect perfume, but in order to do that, he's murdering these young women to get that perfect essence, perfect perfume. So I'm really excited to actually read the book, and I'll probably rewatch the movie as well because it's been a few years since I've seen the movie, to see how they are similar and how they are different. So it is considered trash, at least on Goodreads. It was in like the list of like top trash books. The next one is one I've also wanted to read for a long time, and it's the vintage one, and that's The Chic by E.M. Hull. Those who are a fan of vintage old movies may have heard of this actor, Rudolph Valentino. He was absolutely big in like the silent era. He was like a heartthrob, and he starred in a lot of big movies, and one of them was The Chic. I saw The Chic, and it's rather strange. It's about this young man who was raised, he is European, but he was raised by a sheik in, vaguely Arabian place, and he falls in love with this young woman who is European, and she's traveling. It's an old-fashioned historic romance, but at the time it was immensely popular, both the movie and the book, and it was considered very risque for the time. In fact, in the movie he just like forces her to kiss him, but in the book apparently he assaults her, so not sure if I'm going to enjoy that, but it is considered very like trashy romance of the 1920s, so I'm really curious to read it, and I will probably hate every minute of it. The next one I'm going to read, because I wanted to get some like YA trash in here, and that's The Court of Thrones and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Yes, a lot of people are going to be like, wait, how is this trash? I'm sorry, like a lot of the YA fantasy is basically trash. That's not a bad thing. And I have enjoyed some YA fantasy romance, so we'll see if I enjoy this one. This one is a series I've been wanting to read for a long time, but I'm only going to force myself to read the first book, and if I enjoy it, I'll continue on in the series. If I don't, I won't. And the final one that I'm reading the last week of August, and I may not read them like exactly in this order. I wanted to get some horror into here too, some trashy horror, and I thought of Clive Barker. And the only book I've ever read by Clive Barker is his YA fantasy series, Abarat. And I love that series. I grew up with that series, but I have not read a single one of his horror, which is really what he is known for. So this month I want to pick up his horror, and I specifically picked out Mr. Begone, and apparently it is very creepy and over the top, graphic, gory. I don't know if it will be, but that's what some of the reviews said, so I'm curious to jump into that. So those are the 4 books I'm reading for Garbaugust. I may just pick up some like trashy romance because, you know, trashy romance is something very easy to read. But those are the 4 that I'm actually planning. And then for August of Adventure, I was hoping to read some of the books that they're actually reading for the readathon. They're reading Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Tarzan by Edgar Rice Burroughs, King Solomon's Mines by H. Rider Haggard, and Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe, all 5 of which I've already read. So I picked out from my physical TBR books on my shelf that I think are more of adventure stories and I haven't read yet. So in the vein of Treasure Island, I'm reading Kidnapped, which I love the movie that came out in the 50s. It's by the same author as Treasure Island. It's about this young boy who basically, I believe, gets kidnapped and sold into slavery. And I'm not sure it's a high seas adventure type thing. The next one, and technically this will be 2 books in one, is The Da Vinci Code. I read Angels and Demons by Dan Brown maybe last year, 2 years ago, and I really disliked it. I had like a whole rant review on my blog when I had my blog, so that was fun. But this one is considered his most famous, and I really want to read it. And along with that, since, you know, I didn't like the first one, I'm going to be reading The Da Vinci Code, Exposing the Errors of the Da Vinci Code. These 2 books will go together. This is the book, this is the nonfiction analysis of like, how much is this true? And I understand this is supposed to be adventure and fiction. You're not supposed to take it entirely serious. But there are some people who read this book and are like, oh yeah, this totally happened. And I'm like, no, it didn't. And then the next one, I've been wanting to read this for years, is Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Kind of a high seas adventure. I mean, a lot of these are like set on the sea. Like besides the Da Vinci Code, all of these are set predominantly on the sea, so we'll see. But I've been wanting to read Moby Dick for a long time, and I have owned this copy for a long time, and I've been avoiding it because of how long it is. But this month, I want to try to read it. Finally, I don't know if I'll be bogged down by long descriptions of whale and the sea, but I didn't mind it in Jules Verne, so we'll see. And the final one I want to read is The Seahawk by Raphael Sabatini. I've talked a lot about Captain Blood by Raphael Sabatini on my channel, and I absolutely love that book, but I wanted to read this one. This is also like a high seas adventure. Those are the 4, technically 5 books because of the Da Vinci Hoax is 2 books I'm going to be reading for August of Adventure. But with that, I'm not going to add any more books. I'm not going to pull any books from my physical TBR or read any more random books. I'm not going to worry about that, just so I can focus on just reading for fun outside of the, say, 10 books I'm reading for all the readathon. Have you read any of these books? Are you participating in any of these events? Let me know your thoughts down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like, subscribe. I post every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a great week. Bye.